All right, guys, this morning we have a fairly odd news story to talk about. Even though the Pixel 8a has only been on the market for a few months, I believe it launched back in May, we already have images of what is supposed to be the Pixel 9a. Yes, indeed, the 9 series Pixels did just now launch just a few short days ago. And of course, the cheaper variant, the A series, normally comes along a little while after that. This maybe is a little bit soon, and the images are strange, and the source is maybe even a little bit stranger. Let's get into it here. I've posted all this stuff on Threads. You should definitely be following me over there if you are not, because I post stuff like this all the time. You'll see it before the video happens. These are apparently images of the Pixel 9a. And before we get into a lot of these details, we're just going to look at this device and kind of point some things out that I think are very, very fascinating. So first off, we have that flat side rail, the flat edge, which was debuted with the Pixel 9 series of phones, very reminiscent of maybe the Essential phone or maybe an iPhone is what comes to mind for you. But I think most distinctly here, we do not have the camera visor that has been part and parcel for these Pixel phones for a long time. If I pop my case off of my Pixel 8a, you can see that visor even more clearly. It is gone. But what is interesting is if you take that visor away and you leave just the camera module, you've got something that looks very, very similar to what we have here on that device. Of course, the LED flash has moved from the far edge over a little bit closer, but I find that to be kind of simultaneously hard to believe and also easy to believe, if that makes any sense. It's hard to believe in the sense that they're getting rid of that very distinct visor, but as we know with the Pixel 9 devices, they already kind of did that. Otherwise, the shape, the size, the location all kind of check out. For me, it does appear to be a standard camera and an ultra wide, which if this is a fake, that will be some pretty good detail to throw in. We also have this logo down here at the bottom, which you may be looking at and thinking, Shane, that is not a Google G that we normally see on the back of these Pixel devices. You can see the normal G right there on the back of my Pixel 8a. No, that is very, very different from that, but Google does always put weird logos on the back of their prototype devices, and that appears to be exactly what this is. We also have the power button above the volume rockers, and that is exactly what they do as well. So lots of details definitely checking out here. If we go to the next image, you can see USB-C, you can see the SIM tray on the bottom, which is a different approach, and a single speaker down there. We have two speakers on the bottom of the current Pixel 8a, and the SIM tray, I believe, is on this side over here. So definitely some big changes there. The bezel looks to be reasonably sized in the general range of what we have with the Pixel 8a, probably a little bit smaller and potentially even symmetrical, which would be a really nice change. Hole punch selfie camera up there at the top. Both images are quite grainy, and those are the only two images that we have. Now, where did these images come from? So they were initially tweeted by Shrimp Apple Pro, very strange name, but they do often tweet things that are accurate, and they say that it came from some random post on Facebook, but not just any random post on Facebook. It actually came from this private Facebook group, and if we translate the name here from Vietnamese, we'll highlight this and we will go ahead and do the translate option. You'll see that it translates to Google Pixel Vietnam Association, and that is of course relevant because Vietnam is where you're getting a lot of these Pixel leaks as of late. It seems as though this is coming from someone who works, I don't know how you pronounce this, Compal, something like that, Compal. This is a manufacturing company that does work with these Pixel devices, and it appears as though this is someone that works at Compal, and they simply took a photo of a device off the line and they posted it in this Facebook group. Now, apparently, this post has been since deleted, but what's really strange about this is that the post apparently was live for quite some time because Android Authority was actually able to find this post on another Vietnamese website. Let's go ahead and translate this. Close-up of the new Google Pixel model launched August the 13th. We know that that is incorrect. So this post had been live for about 20 days, apparently, before it was picked up and then deleted. So this person posts it. They're thinking they're in a private group. Everything's going to be okay. It gets picked up. It gets spread around. They delete the post. presumably to preserve their employment. Hopefully they did not lose their job over this, but this is a very risky thing to do, not only for your employment, but also legally speaking, these people could get into a lot of trouble for doing these sorts of things. So hopefully they were careful with how they did this, but I would be shocked if maybe some trouble was not run into by this individual. To make things even more interesting, Shrimp Apple Pro has stated that it is meant to be coming in 4 different colors, and that it has already entered mass production, and that it's meant to be released sometime before the end of this year. That's kind of the hardest thing for me to believe, because again, the 8A was just launched in May, so that's a really quick turnaround for another A series phone. Google has done some weird things though, right? So they skipped the normal launch window for the Pixel 9, or sorry, for the Pixel Fold 2. They changed it to the Pixel 9 Pro Fold and launched it with the other Pixel 9. So maybe that makes sense. But guys, launching another Pixel phone before the end of the year just seems like maybe they're going to oversaturate things a little bit. And then you have to wonder, what are they going to do with this device in terms of the specs and the pricing? If we jump over to the Google store, this is the Pixel 9. It is $799. So this Pixel 9a would have a lot in common with this, but it would have a lesser camera setup, obviously a much smaller camera module, probably a less bright screen, potentially a Tensor G4 that was packaged differently to make it a little bit cheaper as well. That's something that they tend to do. So where could they potentially price this thing to make it competitive and not sort of just negatively be impacting the Pixel 9s that are already on the market? It'd have to kind of serve a completely different purpose where people weren't deciding between the Pixel 9a and the Pixel 9, right? It would have to be targeting completely different customers. Theoretically, if they do stick with that $499 price point, I think that that gives you enough of a gap between the two. That's $300 in between the two devices. So maybe that ends up making a bit more sense. All definitely very interesting, but kind of hard to nail down. I think you should take all this with a heaping pinch of salt, because this stuff all strikes me as a little bit odd. I would say more likely than not, we are looking at the Pixel 9a, but it would not surprise me at all if some weird hijinks were going on with some of these details. I do want to hear from you guys though. What do you think about this in the comments down below? Definitely give me your thoughts about the design, about where you think this thing should be priced, and do you think it actually should launch this year, or maybe they should wait until a little bit into 2025? That's kind of what I'm thinking, but I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts in those comments. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more content like this, and until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.